And the worst series finale of all time goes to... What's going on, friends? Logan Myers here for Cinephellas.com. We're back talking about the finale of Game of Thrones, the series finale. Been waiting 8 seasons for this day to come. I'm still super angry and disappointed with what they gave us for the final product and the final episode of Game of Thrones for so many reasons. The way the season's been going thus far, a lot of it's been really rushed. A lot of, plot holes, a lot of arcs not making sense, and a lot of characters doing ridiculous things that they were really against. With Jaime and Daenerys and a bunch of other characters, and it just didn't really feel like it was really thought out from the writing table, with the script, to the writers, with the showrunners. Just a lot of things not making sense, and them and it really feeling like they gave up on the show. You make something so epic for so many years, you really got to go out with a bang. I'm talking like shows like Breaking Bad, like the series finale was phenomenal, probably one of the best moments in TV history ever. I love the Sopranos ending. A lot of people were on the fence or hated it, but I actually enjoyed the way they went out with that show. The Game of Thrones series finale doesn't even touch Breaking Bad or Sopranos. It's pretty bad across the board. A lot of things that didn't make sense, a lot of things that are dragged out. With episode 5, we saw the fall of King's Landing this time around. We have Jon Snow. He's, still thinking that Daenerys is the queen. He's not really thinking any negative things about her. Tyrion's trying to knock some sense into Jon, saying that she's evil, that she needs to go essentially because of what she just did, this huge massacre, basically killing all these thousands of innocent people, families, and kids. What Tyrion does best, he drops a lot of knowledge and really tells it how it is, and I love that communication and that conversation he has with Jon Snow saying, you need to go kill her, and Tyrion's days are pretty much numbered at this point, not knowing if he's going to survive after what he did, helping his brother Jaime out, and Jaime escaping to go to King's Landing. But one thing I will say about this season, and especially this episode, the way that it's filmed, the cinematography, and the score, the use of the amazing pounding score in this season has been phenomenal. It really elevates these, episodes that are written really poorly, and seeing all these actors, these characters that we've fallen in love with over the past, 8 years, 8 seasons, really ending their lives or their characters in this show. And the way they went about this was a pretty shitty way to go out. One of the biggest parts of the show was, Jon and Daenerys, her killing all the people in King's Landing, and Jon Snow. We're not really sure if he's going to kill her or if it's going to be Arya, but it's really built up, and there's this really great, excellent shot of Daenerys with the dragon wings behind her, the dragons behind her, but the way it was shot was just really beautiful and probably one of the best shots of this episode. Jon knows what Daenerys is up to and how evil she's become and what she's capable of doing, so he really had to put a stop to her, as Tyrion was telling him, and he really does. And that shot was pretty decent, the way he kills her and sticks her, and she's pretty much dead. But Drogon, the dragon, flies over and sees a dead Daenerys Targaryen. And I was really surprised that the fucking dragon didn't breathe fire on Jon Snow, because the dragon knows that Jon just killed her. And essentially the dragon picks up Daenerys and flies off. We never know what happens to her corpse. It was definitely not as over the top that I thought they would make this huge killing of one of the main characters of Game of Thrones since the beginning. But other aspects of the show is just a lot of people walking really slow and dragging on and on and on. And, it's another episode that was an hour and 20 minutes, and they probably could have cut off another 20 minutes at the end because a lot of it was stupid in the way they ended these characters, and it just felt like they're running out of ideas. But one of the things that really pissed me off about this episode that made no sense at all was announcing who the king is, who's taking the Iron Throne. Daenerys is dead. Jon took care of that, so we think it's going to be Jon Snow, but of course it's not. It's somebody else, one of the most hated characters in Game of Thrones history, and I'm talking about Bran taking the throne, and he's the king. He's paralyzed, he can't walk, he can't have kids, but he's knowledgeable and he could see things. He was the three-eyed raven, and now he's the king, which doesn't make any sense because he talks about in the show that he does not want to be the king. But at least the Starks have control now, which was really excellent. It just made no sense, and it kind of contradicted a lot of things he said throughout the show. And it really surprised me how bad that decision was and how everything turned out. In terms of Arya, I thought she's been really great in this show. and seeing how her character ends. Essentially, Arya's going to be a pirate and sailing west to uncharted territory, areas that nobody knows about, and see what else is out there. So I thought that was kind of a cool way to end her character. I'm glad she survived. And then we still have Sansa up north, and I figured that's where she would be. And Jon Snow returns to the Night Watch, which made, again, no sense at all with all the land in this show. He can go anywhere he wants. He's Aegon Targaryen. He's killed the White Walkers. He's done so much honorable things throughout the show. Really a character that's grown in the first 7 seasons, and they really didn't know what to do with him this season, in season 8, and I thought his character went downhill, but that was just the way it was written, and it's really unfortunate. But now he can live the rest of his days with Tormund and the Night's Watch, hang out with the wildlings. Maybe they can have a Tormund and Jon Snow sitcom spin-off show just with those two hanging out in the really cold weather up north, and living out the rest of their days together, happy in love. HBO, you need to make that show right now. Another aspect of the show is when Tyrion finds Jaime and Cersei. He's heartbroken seeing his brother, one of his best friends, dead, but he sees Cersei and grabs a brick and he starts smashing her head in, which is really cool. That's the death that I really wanted last episode, but we didn't get it, but I'll take it this time around. So good job, Tyrion. And throughout this season, there's been a lot of sloppy editing, a lot of things in the shots that weren't supposed to be there. The Starbucks cup that a few weeks ago was in the shot with Daenerys. And this time around in the series finale, we have a water bottle that was in the shot with Sam under his chair. It's all the leaders of Westeros really discussing the future of what's going to happen now that Bran's a king. But there's a shot with a water bottle under his feet, which is really funny. It's just like everybody in the show fucking gave up early on in the season. They just stopped caring. The editing team, the directors, the writers obviously don't give a shit about us, the fans, so they're just like, let's make a clusterfuck of a finale and a final season, just to fuck over all the fans like us that have been watching this religiously since the beginning. But overall, the Game of Thrones series finale, The Iron Throne, was probably one of the worst I've seen. Honestly, I'm so pissed off about this. I'm still thinking about it and still stewing about all the mistakes they made and the way they had these characters go out. That just made no fucking sense, and you can tell that a lot of the people involved in this show just didn't give a fuck and didn't care and just wanted it to end so they can move on to make new Star Wars movies. So fuck you. And the best part of the episode, like I was saying, is definitely the camera work, cinematography, the score, the music was really phenomenal, and a few of the characters I enjoyed the way they went out, and a lot of the other characters I did not care for the way they wrote these characters and their endings. So overall, I'm going to give Game of Thrones, the series finale, titled The Iron Throne, a 2.5 out of 5 Jon Snow hair pieces, boys. So what did you guys think of the series finale of Game of Thrones? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe. This is Logan Meyer signing out from King's Landing, or what's left of it. Until the next video review. Cheers!